I don't want to say goodbye to the Yaris. Safety first, kids. Hi guys, welcome back to CMD and another video. You join me on what is rather a sad day. I am saying goodbye to the GR Yaris. I have been living with the car for 2.5 weeks now, and so after initial collection from the owner, have used it for motorway driving, A roads, B roads, it's been on the school run, and so I feel I'm really in quite a good position to give you my overall thoughts. If you haven't seen the previous videos that we've filmed on this car, there's an initial impressions video, which I'll put a link up to the description in now, and a few days ago we spent a morning with suspension secrets, updating, modifying the suspension and lowering the seats. So if you're interested in those videos, be sure to check out the GR Yaris playlist. If you're new to CMD, we have been set up as a YouTube channel with a difference. All the ad revenue that we generate from videos like the one that you're watching right now, along with sponsorship from places like hothatches.co.uk, all the revenue that we generate goes into a designated bank account. All of that money, every single penny, is being donated to local and national charities and good causes who need our help. So if you like what you see, be sure to hit that like button, give us a subscribe, and maybe tell your friends. I think just before I give you my final thoughts on this car, the other thing I've got to do is discuss the modifications, because this Yaris is in no way a stock. Paul, the owner, has carried out quite a lot of extensive modification work, but I'll also make sure there's a link and a description to all of the work and all of the companies involved down below. But today I just want to talk to you about my favourites. The car's tuned, obviously it's generating more brake horsepower, there's airboxes, forged pipes and everything in between, and that has meant the performances. I believe the car is dynoing just short or just shy of 300 bhp. It's obviously quite an uplift from stock, and the power delivery is fantastic. It revs all the way out into the 7,000, and it's quite a plucky little unit. It's very happy to rev out. Power uplift, I'm normally not a fan, but it's already got fantastic stoppers, so that's a natural place to head to. I like that a lot. The short shifter gearbox, so big fan of that, very short throw, really adds to the experience and the usability, especially when you're trucking the car around. There's a dump valve, which initially when I first drove the car, I thought, I wonder if that's going to get on my nerves. It's something that I've really grown to love. It's something that I didn't think I'd like, and I quite enjoy it actually. It adds to the character of the car, and when I've taken a friend out in it, you know, the first thing they've said is, "What is that?" And it sort of adds to the whole drama of the driving experience. So quite like the dump valve. And then more recently, and this is a massive one for me, we spent some time with suspension secrets. Again, video out just before this one, so hopefully you'll have seen that, and if not, check it out in the playlist. But we lowered the seat down by 30 to 35 mil, and that's made a massive difference to sort of where and how you sit. 30 mil doesn't sound like much, but from the overall dynamic of the car, and the visibility is just so much better. When I originally drove the car, I put the visor down and I couldn't see, I genuinely could not see out of the front window screen. That is how high you sit. You're sort of so high, and the visor is actually quite large. It took out over 2/3 of the window, whereas now if I put it as most sort of protruding, I can still see out of the car fine. And so that's a major gauge for me. It's also helped with the gap between the rear view mirror and the infotainment system, again, that's quite small, and it's made that larger, so visibility is improved, seating position is improved, and that's quite a big one for me. I like to sit low in cars, so that's a nice change. But I think the major change that was made at Suspension Secrets, there's some lowering springs on there, so they've gone down 20mm at the front, 25mm at the rear. Geometry, alignment, and obviously we put on camber arms, bolts, so arms at the rear, bolts at the front, and then a full geo and alignment setup with Suspension Secrets, and that has transformed, there is no other way to describe it, the ride in this car and the handling. It is, I was pessimistic because when I originally drove it I thought this is phenomenal anyway, and it really is. It's a great car out of the box, but the nose is quite lifty, and it would lean on to its sides. The car would throw you around a bit, and that's part of the rally feel that I think GR want you to have, and Toyota. But what Matt and Alex and the team at Suspension Secrets have developed with the setup is a immensely flat, settled ride, and you really notice it when you're pushing on, when you change direction, because there's not a change of direction, a lean and you go, so you don't go left and then swing over to the right and then get your grip. I mean, yeah, case in point, bit of good timing, you know, if you swing it right then left, the car's already sat exactly how you want it on the tyres. And I think having driven it for a good week and a half before that was done, and then getting onto some roads that I understood and knew well later that day after the visit, I've just been blown away by that. So not stock, but irrelevant of that, what's the car been like to live with? For those of you who watch the channel, you'll know that I'm actually, yeah, I'll get slated for this, rightly so, but I'm not actually a huge fan of a manual gearbox. It feels 100% right in this car. It's a great box, especially with the short shifter, but actually living with it has been really easy. The ride is really palatable for a very short, very squat, very sporty car. The ride's not bad at all. It's really not. It is sporty, but I don't think it's any different to a Mini Cooper S in sort of ride comfort, helped by some fantastic seats. I've got to say, these seats are quite possibly one of the comfiest that I've sat in any hot hatch. And then the interior is a very Toyota affair. We've got lots of mod cons. You do have to turn some of that off when you first get in the car. There's a number of buttons that I press straight away now that I've lived with it. The first one is the lane assist. You press and hold that for about 5 seconds and it all disappears. That is a fantastic safety aid, and I've used it on the motorway, but beyond that it's a pain in the arse, and that goes straight off. The other one is there's a button just down by the handbrake that's labelled IMT. Apologies, I don't know what that stands for. It's essentially rev matching. I'm going to put my cards on the table. I'm either not a good enough driver, or I don't have the flexibility in my ankle to heel and tow this car. I'm averaging roughly around 30 mpg in the time that I'm using it, and that's a good mix of driving. Down the motorway I was pushing nearly 40, so the car can do economy, but the reality is you don't buy a car like this to do economy, do you? But I think what I was desperate to know about this car is it worth the hype, and is it as much fun to drive as everyone would have you believe? I've got to say, it's amazing. It is by far one of the most capable, fun, entertaining cars I've ever driven, and I think it's a real sweet spot for me, and you can see why people are flooding to get their hands on them, and why the price is driving up. They're a difficult thing to get hold of. Do they warrant the 40 grand price tag? That's a subjective one, isn't it? what I would say is that if you are considering taking the plunge and you like a hot hatch, because this is really the mecca of every hot hatch I've ever driven so far, and it really, really is, I promise you, you won't be disappointed. I genuinely don't think I've driven anything down some of my local B roads as hard as I've been able to drive this, and I've only been at 80% of what the car can do comfortably and what I can do. It is a phenomenal all-rounder, and that's actually, you know what, a really good case in point. If you look at the cars in Paul's garage, there are many that I'd imagine a lot of us, myself included, would take to Scotland in theory. However, now that I've sat here and experienced this, I would take this. And I'm not very often I get jealous. Very, very jealous of the thought of ragging this around Scotland with the petrol heads boys. It will be amazing. On that note, guys, it's time to finish. I'm fast approaching Paul's place and dropping this car off. It is bittersweet. I've had an amazing time with it. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to tune in soon for the next episode of what I should call Stealing Paul's Cars playlist, because we have got something very special to follow. I hope that was useful for you GR Yaris, either owners and or people considering such things. I look forward to seeing you soon. Cheers.